Alright, what is up everybody? Welcome back to another video. And this one we will make it a little bit modular, make it easier for you to implement your own weapons and stuff like that. And go from there. Might be the last one, we will see. Let's just get into it. We have this for now, we have our sword and we have our attack combination. We have a few issues. I'm not sure I should call them issues, but this is all now very hard coded and very poorly set up in a way, because everything, or not everything, we did some things well, but where's the attack? This is not a good solution, for instance, because we have the attacks hard coded here, and what happens when we do that is that this creates hard references to these attacks. So this means that every time the game is loaded, these attacks will also be loaded into memory, as long as the character is loaded into memory. It might not be an issue if you only have a sword is the only thing you have in your game, but it's still not good practice, I wouldn't say. So let's turn it into something that is better practice. And we do that by using soft references instead of using hard references. So in here, I will create a new structure, call it S weapon details. I'm gonna call it item details. Weapon details. S equipment details. I don't know, we can just rename it to something else. First we want the name. This is how I usually do it, because we're gonna create a data table, and then item name, let's also do a text, equipment description, and we're gonna do a actor soft class reference here. So because we have an issue now, because if we go to our character and open the size map, you can see that the character is already 1 point, or actually not the character. This will probably be big because there is a lot of hard-coded stuff in there. Like, there's no reason for the character to actually know about the sprint animations and stuff like that. And like level block, the character shouldn't know about this level blocks and stuff. So it's obviously not an optimal setup that they used, which is fine because it's just a prototype and they will probably improve it. But for our case, we made this AC combat, and if we go to size map here, 2.3 megabytes is not that big, but this is still completely unnecessary to have like the combo attack. So each animation is loaded into memory here as soon as this combat component is loaded into memory, so that is not ideal. So we want to change that. And one way we can change that is to use soft references. And we're going to try to be smart here. Because I have the master equipment, right? Let's call it master weapon, because this is a weapon. So we want to turn this to variables inside of the weapon instead. So that means we compartmentalize the logic a little bit and keep it where it's relevant. So in here we can instead do attack montages. Make it of a type anim montage. This is blueprints. And it's gonna be an array. And we have the blueprint interface combat component. We're gonna do another interface. Call it BI weapon actor. Gonna add that interface here. And inside this interface, we're gonna do a function called get attack animations. We're gonna output anim montage object reference array. We're gonna go back into our weapon, get the attack animations, and plug them in like so. So now we can get the attack animations from the actual weapon. So by default, let's add our attacks in the weapon. 1, 2, and 3. Perfect. And in here, we can now get our current weapon actor that we have here. And this is a mistake I can see clearly here. This here is also unnecessary because now we created a hard reference to our master weapon actor. That's completely unnecessary for the combat component to know about this master weapon class. Even though it's most likely going to be loaded into memory at the same time, it creates dependencies. So if you want to do your own patching system, for instance, or something like that, and you patch the weapon, that would require people to like re-download the entire combat component as well because they are related. So you don't want to create like dependencies like that. So we're gonna change this to a actor because that's what it is. Base. And that's what I want to try to avoid because a lot of tutorials out there would just use this reference and then they would just get the array from the class or do like this cast to master weapon. And you see now I can access these ones straight away like this. But that means this cast here would create a hard references to the master weapon class. So that's why we use interfaces instead. So get attack animations. Now I can do it without having any references to it whatsoever. So I can now plug this one in here. And instead of using this select node, we're gonna get a copy like so. And here We're not gonna hardcode it. We're gonna check if it's greater than the length of this array. Should still work. Actually, it needs to be last index length. There we go. So now we have a way to actually play the animations depending on what weapon it is. We also should actually convert this to a validated get, so we can only do it if we actually have a weapon. There we go. Looking good. And from here, we might want to... We made this equipment details, so that means that the only thing we actually need is a soft reference to this actor, because when we load this into memory by code, we're automatically gonna load the relevant attack animations as well. So when we do this server equip weapon, we're instead gonna use a name server equip weapon, gonna get data table row, we actually need to make a data table as well, so we're gonna right click miscellaneous data table equipment details. I'm gonna rename it to just thinking. Let's do S weapon details. DT weapon details. There we go. So weapon. And now in here we can add a row. Call it sword. And the reason we have two different here is because this data table identifier should always align with the row name here, just so we can find different rows. So sword, because now this sword could be called something else. Description and master weapon. So DT weapon details. So now we need to know what actor to actually spawn. So in order to do that, we are gonna, because we can't spawn this actor here. Actually, that shouldn't be a soft object reference. Soft class reference. Yeah, that's correct. Sorry. So we need to load it into memory manually here. So async load class asset. And here we can cast to actor because we know it's an actor. Make sure it's uncompleted. Let's do this first of all. On completed, we don't need to delete here anymore. We are now gonna plug it in here. So that means we are now only loading the weapon into memory when we actually need it, so when we equip it. So you can see this is starting to get modular now because the only thing you need is actually a row name. And then you can keep filling out this data table with items. We might add 1 or 2 more items. Sword. And you can see it's still working. And if we now go to our components, you see, this looks way better now. It's a whole megabyte less. But if you look at the size map here, you can clearly see it's no longer loading in the animation montages and stuff's unnecessary. It still shouldn't. Yeah. It's only loading in very little stuff. So perfect, I would say. And that's the way we want it. Alright, cool. That's gonna be it for this one. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions, and we will see what we do in the next one. See ya!